On the agenda tonight, we're going to be having a look at and having a listen to the recently released official video for I'm Only Sleeping by the Beatles. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So whenever something like this comes along, alarm bells start to ring in the back of my mind when somebody messages me and says they've released a new video. This is the Beatles, but talking about bands from back in the day when they have new things released, whether they've been tampered with from a pitch perspective or not. So I've had a listen to this and I think this is probably more just to do about the video, which we will talk about as well, but we'll dive into the audio and do the analysis as we normally do with John Lennon's lead vocal. So we'll jump into it, and as you guys know, this is an analysis video, so we are going to be analysing. If you want to see the original video with the original audio all going at the same time with the band as well, the full band, then click on the link in the description below, because we're just going to be listening to John Lennon's lead vocal and the backing vocals in there as well, running through the pitch monitoring software. But let's have a listen.
When I wake up early in the morning, lift my head, I'm still yawning when I'm in the middle of a dream. Stay in bed, float upstream, please don't wake me, no, don't shake me, leave me where I am, I'm only sleeping. Everybody seems to think I'm lazy, I don't mind, I think they're crazy, running everywhere at such a speed, till they find there's no need, please don't spoil my day, I'm miles away, and after all, I'm only sleeping.
I'm just going to jump in here because, first of all, to mention about M. Cooper's video that she's made here, the artist who was approached to do this, and it's such a painstaking process to put this together because M has literally painted every single frame of this video, and if you're not technically minded and you don't know how it works, generally in video you will get 30 frames per second. So it means for every second that you watch there are 30 frames. Now if you are going to draw all of those frames, that means you've got to do 30 drawings or paintings in this case. So you've got 30 per second. So it means that if you're doing a 3-minute video, you've then got 180 seconds, but then it's 180 times 30, which is 5,400 paintings. So it is absolutely mind-blowing when you think about the amount of months that it's taken to put this video together, to paint everything, to put every picture then in order. And yeah, it's just amazing, and hopefully you'll be able to see this video on this video, but if it gets blocked on copyrights, then make sure you head to that link in the description below to watch the video with it, because this is very much the point of this release. And when I say that, it's because the focus is the video. We can see and we can hear that the audio is the original. It hasn't been tampered with, it hasn't been pitch corrected or auto-tuned. Just to mention something from a technical standpoint, because the original audio is not in tune to 440 hertz tuning, and that might have been the case that when they recorded it, it then got sped up slightly so that when it is released, something that used to happen all the time with older releases in the studio, they just speed the tape up a little bit so it'll be higher in pitch. But here It was probably between keys. I can't remember exactly how off it was, but what I have done is adjust the tuning to 445 Hertz. So it means that I've adjusted it for the fact that the original audio was sharp. So at least we can look at the pitch monitoring software to see where these notes fall in relation to the instrumentation and where they recorded this at. It might well have been the case that in the studio they just tuned up to each other. It tended to always be one of those two reasons, which is why you get these weird and wonderful tunings where bands have just tuned to themselves, not realizing they're 15 or 20 cents sharp or flat of 440 Hertz tuning. So when you then try and play along on guitar, you have to tune your guitar specifically for that song. But everything's been calibrated here so that we can at least see John Lennon's voice in relation to the notes on screen. I think most likely this was recorded in D minor, so because I've now calibrated everything to account for it being faster, it means that it'll say that it's D sharp. So now that I've told you it's not pitch corrected or auto-tuned, and we can see that on the pitch monitoring software, we'll work our way through it to see exactly where John delivers this vocal, but why it's so important that the notes are where they are. Let's have a listen.
And I wake up early in the morning, lift my head, I'm still yawning when I'm in the middle.
So I'm just going to stop it there, because when we start and we go all the way back to the beginning, you can hear how John is so precise, hitting this note dead on, which most likely was a D4 in the studio, but D sharp 4 here, as I've just explained. We'll just listen to it again.
When I wake up early in the morning.
So it's very much this, when I wake up early in the morning. It's just keeping that fixed, na 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 na, because this note, because it's the same note, you can't be too far sharp or flat. You've got to try and get it as accurate as you can, and you know, John being such a great vocalist just hits it bang on. But then as we go forward,
Lift my head.
We've now got left my hair, and it's kind of a slide up here, and look, we're just under the C sharp 4.
I'm still yawning when I'm in the middle.
And here where we go, I'm still yawning, he's kind of doing that with it, which is throwing it up to the F sharp 4, but being flat. And the point, you'll see this throughout the whole performance. I'm only sleeping. I mean, the vocal has got to sound lazy because that's the feel of what you're singing about. And you can see John, by being flat of the note, gives you the impression or the emotion, the feeling of being lazy because you haven't reached where you were expecting the note to go. And as I've said in other analysis videos, when you're sharp of the note, that's going to add more energy, more drama to the vocal. So this is why you'll find all the time John's just going to be slightly flat, but not because he can't sing. It's because he's singing with the emotion and the feeling of the song. And this is why when we've said about pitch correction auto-tune in the past, where they're being snapped to lines, it gets rid of this. So this would sound so mechanical, and it would be less emotive if it had pitch correction or auto-tune because of what John's singing about.
Everybody seems to think I'm lazy. I don't mind.
I mean, even at this point here, we're supposed to be at the C sharp 4, and again, we're flat. And when the backing vocals come in, obviously the pitch monitoring software can't hear one voice independently, so it just does tend to just plot what it can make out. But again, looking here, flat. As we come down, again, we stopped here just short of the G sharp 3, so it means it's flat again.
I think they're crazy.
And again, look here, flat, flat, flat. Just to mention as well that I know some people who might not be involved with music or be a musician when you say that somebody's singing flat, they take that as an insult to the singer, basically saying that they can't sing. But that's not the case. When you're analysing notes and pitch, you're either sharp or you're flat. And, I mean, very rarely are you bang on the line because that's auto-tune or pitch correction. But when you're flat of these lines, it means you're below it. When you're sharp of the line, which, I mean, we rarely get here, apart from when some instrumentation comes in, when you're above the line, it means that you're sharp. So, but like I said at the beginning of this video, you'll see that pretty much all the time we're either really accurate or flat, because that's the mood of the song. So it means that by singing flat, we're not saying that John can't sing. We say, if anything, instead of saying flat, 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 it should be emotion, 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 because that's what all of these lines here that are below the note, that's what they're doing to you, because you don't look at this when you're listening to the song. You just listen to it and accept it for the art it is, and you digest and process the emotions that you feel from what you're listening to. It's only when we analyse it, we start to understand the reason why we feel a certain way about a particular song and a lead vocal, because of where it sits pitch-wise. This emotion and emotion and emotion is going to be laid back and lazy, because it's not taking you to that, you know, exact or finite value. But let's listen on.
Running everywhere at such a speed, till they find there's no need, there's no need.
I'm just going to take that back, because you can see even here, again, flat of that F sharp 4. But what I love about this is that with the release of the new video, they haven't done anything to the song. They've just released the song as it was. And to mention about the 2009 remastered versions of the songs that they released, that, I mean, in my opinion, was great, because they didn't go in there and remix it or change anything, any lead vocals or pitch correct anything, auto-tune, all that kind of stuff. They just literally remastered it. For people that don't know what remastering is or remixing, remastering is when you've already got the completed song. It's a really, I mean, simple explanation of it, but imagine that you've got bass, middle and treble, and you've got a song, and all that's happening is, I mean, it is an art form, so I'm really oversimplifying it here. But what is happening during the mastering process is this EQ curve, which is just the bass, middle, and treble, is being tweaked so that you can take certain parts of the song and get those frequencies to now stand out a little bit more. Say, for example, you release the song, but the bass was a little bit low and the bass guitar didn't quite cut through as well. You would then go to the bottom part of your EQ curve and you'd start to apply effectively a boost to the bass. Going back to the mixing process where you're literally producing the song, that's where you record all of your instruments and you decide, okay, I want a bit of reverb on my guitar, and you apply a bit of reverb to the guitar, to that recorded guitar on that channel. So you're not doing the whole song and editing that, you're doing each instrument, and that's why going back and doing a vocal and applying auto-tune or pitch correction, that isn't remastering. That's going all the way back to the desk and remixing and now applying effects to individual channels. So that's the difference between those two. Another thing to point out is when you're listening to the song in its original form, you're not going to notice any of this because we're analysing it here in detail, so we can see how the emotion is achieved by where the notes are being placed. But like I said, you know, just this tiny, you know, what, maybe 5 cents flat, maybe 8 cents flat, tiny increments that the ear won't pick up. It'll still sound in tune, but you'll get a different emotion from it because of these subtleties.
Waiting for sleepy feeling.
Actually, what I'm going to do here is bring in the backing so we can listen to this guitar, because of course we love listening to guitar on this channel and playing it. But let's have a listen. And this is where we have our first piece of audio that's consistently sharp. So I mean, that's interesting in itself, that George Harrison, when he's playing this solo in the studio, he was tuned, you know, higher than everything else, and we can see that on the pitch monitoring software. But I mean, when you're playing the guitar, the reason that it's going to have a different emotion, and actually the reason this stands out even more, is because it's sharp. So it means that the guitar solo is going to sound like a totally different voice because it's not relaxed. It doesn't sound relaxed because it's sharp. Anyway, moving away from that, because that's something I'm just thinking of now as to why it stands out so much. And it's because of, yeah, the pitch, but more importantly, the fact that we've got this solo being played in reverse. And I know that I've read somewhere that, you know, George is just sitting down for hours and hours and hours trying to get this to sound right, because it's trying to play the guitar in a totally different way, to play it, you know, forwards, or to play it as you would do normally, but then so it works when you then rewind the tape, but then record the tape being rewound so that it plays forward. So anyway, yeah, I mean, one of the first uses, if not the first use of this in, you know, mainstream pop music or in the pop charts. So yeah, really interesting effect, but let's listen on. So yeah, we could see again that we were slightly sharp of that F sharp 4. So let's go back to just John.
My day I'm miles away, and after all,
I mean, this phrase here, just listen to how lazy this sounds, and then look at where the notes are hitting on the pitch monitoring software.
please don't spoil my day. I'm miles away, and after all, I'm all.
It's so relaxed and, you know, such expression in this vocal. And this is why I love it when you listen to a song that hasn't been edited at all, because you just get all of the expression of the original vocal that was sung in the studio and over the top of that original backing, and it's relevant.
Keep it alive on the world going by my window.
I love that little yawn in there as well, that obviously when it's isolated you can hear it more clearly.
Keep it alive on the world going by my window. Taking my time when I wake up early in the morning.
Again, just dialed in on this D sharp 4.
Lift my head, I'm still yawning when I'm in the middle of a dream.
And again, we've always got this really consistent, na, na, you know, that, it's just a little bit flat, but it's great. Actually, we've got more sliding than you expect, and you probably don't hear all of this until you see it on the screen, of having this, na, and it's that, the little slide we have coming down, then back up to this na 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 na, you know, spot on pitch.
Stay in bed, float upstream, float upstream. Please don't wake me now, don't shake me, leave me where I am. I'm only sleeping.
And again, right at the end, we have this slightly sharp guitar that was picked up by the pitch monitoring software. And then we have the end of the video, and I think we can see M right at the end of the video here. And I mean, just wiping the slate clean, but you know what, a great video. Just about how it's been put together and how it's taken so long, but it's great that the audio hasn't been edited for a new release of a video, because it can be something that for some reason in the industry nowadays, that they seem to want to jump on all the old recordings and kind of tweak them and change them and pitch correct and auto-tune and then re-release it as a new version. Whereas, you know, you can't beat the original. The original sold that well for a reason, because it hit a chord with the audience and it had that emotional connection. I mean, John Lennon is not looking at this, you know, pitch graph and trying to get his notes to be slightly flat. He's singing in a lazy way, and this is just something that is a byproduct of that. But anyway, thank you guys for requesting this song and this video for me to take a look at. As always, keep those suggestions and requests coming in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!